Ready? Start. Sir, I move this bill with a feeling of hope and expectation, for I am confident that for the successful development of agriculture, ancillary and supplementary conditions envisaged in this bill are indispensable. Just as in the case of industry, finance and marketing are two essential conditions, so also in the case of agriculture, finance and poorer marketing are equally essential conditions. You can put up the latest factory and provide the best personnel, but if there is no arrangement for finance and for marketing, that factory will not work. Sometimes I am amazed how the agriculturist sandwiched as he has been between the usurious and fleecing money lender and the greedy and profit minded trader has been able to survive above to live. A lot of thinking has been given to the question of providing finance for agriculture. Some thought has also been given to the problem of marketing of agricultural produce, but I do not know of any report or of any literature in the long history of the cooperative movement which has dealt with this problem in a comprehensive and integrated manner as the Rural Credit Survey has done. One of the main defects from which the cooperative movement in India has suffered is that it has mainly concentrated itself on the credit side of the problem. It has been confined to the better class of farmers. The medium and the small farmer has been left out of the ambit of the cooperative movement. The government too has not taken the interest that was necessary for the development of this movement. The result has been that the cooperative movement today contributes in, inf, infinitesimally small part only of the short term, medium term, and long term credit needed by the agriculturist. I am thankful to the Rural Credit Survey, which has surveyed the problem in a very comprehensive manner and given us, as I said, an integrated scheme. The scheme envisaged by the Rural Credit Survey falls into two parts: the financial, or rather, the credit side of cooperation, and the economic side of cooperation. So far as the credit side is concerned, the formulation of the scheme and its implementation has been entrusted to the Reserve Bank of India. The Reserve Bank Act laid the responsibility of developing rural credit upon that institution, and it was appropriate that that responsibility should be placed upon the Reserve Bank. Before I come to the particular subject with which this bill deals, I would like to give a background of what the Reserve Bank proposes to do, because it is only in that background that a very proper appreciation of the provisions of this bill can be done. At the base, it is proposed, or rather, it has been decided to set up what are known as large sized cooperative societies. These large sized cooperative societies will cover from 5 to 10 villages according to the conditions of the different regions. For these 5 or 10 villages, as I said, a large sized cooperative society will be set up which will deal with multifarious activities concerning the farmer. Ordinarily, the share capital of a large sized cooperative society will rupees 20,000. The government will contribute 50% of this capital, but if the farmers of the region failed to contribute the remaining 50%, the government will make up the shortfall. The idea is not that the government should remain permanently a partner in the share capital, but as soon as the farmers are in a position to provide adequate finance, the capital invested by the government will be retired because I am fully conscious of the fact that the cooperative movement, in order to be successful in the true sense, must be owned and run by the farmer himself. This society will also provide commodities which the farmer needs for his productive and consumption purposes, such as seeds, fertilizers, agricultural implements, kerosene, cloth, etc. It will maintain a storehouse. Hitherto, the cooperative societies used to advance capital to the farmer either on the security of land or on production of one or more sureties. The result was that only substantial farmers or those who had credit in the financial world could avail of that credit. The medium farmer and the small farmer, who in many cases had only a precarious right in land, could not benefit out of it, sir. It is a well known fact that the medium and small farmers constitute about 75% of the total farmers in India, and any scheme which is not calculated to benefit the 75% of the mass of farmers, I submit, is a highly defective and incomplete scheme. It is proposed that in future credit will be advanced not on the security of land or on the production of sureties, but on the security of the prospective crop, so that even the smallest agriculturist owing an acre or half an acre can get some money to finance his productive operations. Another equally important thing is about the division of the personnel of the services. In this matter, the States Reorganization Commission recommended that there should be uniform pay scales in all states. For that purpose, they said when the state of Madhya Pradesh or Karnataka was created or formed, there should be uniform pay scales for all these services, be they belonging to the old Mysore cadre or to the Bombay cadre or Hyderabad cadre. From the bill, I don't find any such attempt being made. It is true that to raise the scales of pay in Mysore means additional expenditure to be incurred from the state funds, but can we defer or postpone it or avoid it? I think we cannot. It is absolutely necessary to strengthen our administration, and one way of strengthening the administration is to have a uniform scale of pay for all the services from whichever area they might come. Otherwise, what will happen is there will be one scale for the persons who might come from Bombay, another for those coming from Madras, another for those coming from Hyderabad, while those from Mysore will have their own scale of pay. This is this is bound to create a lot of confusion, and in this context I am sorry some political leaders in Mysore made the mistake of making a statement that they did not want the services from other areas and if they came, they must come at their own risk. I don't whether that statement was made after consideration. I hope it is not. Had they merely looked into clause of the draft bill, that statement would never have come to be made. Under clause 100A of the draft bill, the entire cadre of all the previous states and the present Bombay and Madhya Pradesh states stand dissolved, and a new cadre is being formed by the central government. That being so, I don't know how you can say that you are merely allowing somebody else to come. This has created a lot of bitterness, and a number of people have complained about it. The services in other areas are quite shy of coming to the new state, and it will not be in our interest to keep back any service if it is an efficient one. It might be necessary to put in more specific provisions. We are going to have the elections very soon. If we want to successfully manage the elections, we must have an efficient administrative machinery at the secretariat level as well as at the district level, and that would be constituted long before the election takes place. We have hardly a few months before us, and it would be absolutely necessary for the Home Ministry to give its attention to this matter and constitute the new services as early as possible. I hope the Home Ministry would give its best attention to this matter. This would also be necessary in connection with the working out of the second 5 year plan. A disgrunt- a disgruntled or disorganized civil service will not assist you in implementing the second plan. I would like to say a few words about the division of assets and liabilities. You remember that in Mr. Vanchu's report, some specific recommendations have been made. Mr. Vanchu recommended, so far as the movable properties are concerned, a certain formula, and that was accepted in the Andhra bill. As regards immovable properties, it laid down that such immovable properties and buildings located in places which are in the districts will not be taken into consideration, as they mere concomitants, but such government buildings which are existing in the headquarters like Madras will be taken into consideration. They will be valued on the basis of the formula that those buildings which have been built prior to 1960 will be valued at double the book value, and those that have been put up after 1960 would be valued according to the book value. This is a very reasonable suggestion. It is on that basis that the buildings in Madras were valued at nearly rupees 7 crores and odd, but Andhra, which was entitled to 36% of the same, was given about rupees 3 crores under section 9 of the Andhra Act. Unfortunately, when we come to the state's reorganization bill, none of these provisions are there. There is no provision for assessing the value of the buildings in big cities like Bombay, Madras, Hyderabad, Delhi, and other areas. What is going to happen? Mighty buildings have been put up in those places at the cost of the entire state, and every part of the state contributed for them. Huge engineering colleges for the benefit of the entire state were built up. They are not in a position to make a gift. Another curious thing that happened is that in the Vanchu report, it has been said that they must be valued. Mr. Chairman, the other day when the House adjourned, I was trying to prove that even qualitatively the progress of the cooperative movement had not been satisfactory. Only primary credit societies have increased in number and size as compared to the other types of societies which actually contributed to the development of agriculture. Even the loan advanced by these primary credit societies is not being utilized for the purpose of development of agriculture, but instead it is being utilized in many cases for paying off the odd debts and for their day to day expenditure, because many of the peasants are so poor and so in debt that the credit given by these credit societies, which is meant for the development of agriculture, is being utilized for other purposes. Madam, when we take into consideration the total amount of credits given by these credit societies and try to analyze the different strata of people who get the greatest advantage of all these credits, it will be realized that the upper strata of society are getting the greater share of the credits advanced by these societies. Now when we take into consideration the classification of all these societies, which gives an insight into the development or the improvement of all these societies, it will be realized that only 15% of the total number of societies are classified under A and B class. That means that only 15% of the societies are sound and are able to stand on their own legs without the help of the government or whatever it might be. This has been stated by the estimates committee as well. So the remaining 85% of the societies are not functioning satisfactorily at all. 40,000 societies were revitalized in the second plan, and last year over 15,000 societies were said to have been revitalized. So it means that nearly 40,000 societies in the past 5 years were not able to function properly and were about to be liquidated. And so the government and the cooperative movement had to go and help them and revitalize them. But even after spending a lot for the revitalization of the societies, we do not know whether all these societies, whichever dormant, are active again. When we take into consideration 15,000 societies, it will prove that the cooperative societies have not improved their position. Stop.